A questo punto inizia la trasmissione. Tutti i partecipanti sono in grado solo di ascoltare.
I'd like to welcome you to the third webinar, which is formed under the project EU Mercy. And we're going to discuss about the final outcome of the project, which is about the platform that focuses on European industrial energy efficiency good practices. For you that you don't know about EU Mercy, is a project funded by the EU Horizon 2020 program. The objective of the project is to foster the goals of energy efficiency in the European Union industry through the identification and dissemination of real experiences of good efficiency practices. And to share the experience on the implementation of policies, schemes, and mechanisms to support their exploitation. You can see here the consortium, all the partners of European Union countries that are participating to this project. The idea is that there are three different kinds of partners. The enablers, which are from countries and partners who have a very good experience on the implementation of energy efficiency in industry. Partners from followers countries that are from countries that are now trying to do this actual implementation in their countries, and stakeholders, which is the link between the industry and this knowledge that we have tried to gather during all these years. One of the ideas, the main ideas of the project was to build, to have a capacity building activity, which is actually to build between the partners and the countries that are related to the project, the capacity of actually go to the implementation of energy efficiency measures in the industry in an effective way. Under this concept, there were 3 webinars organized during these 2 years, 3 years of implementation. The first one focused on the energy efficiency policies and schemes for industry. It was more on the legislation part. The second webinar was about the actual implementation, the energy efficiency implementation in industries. And it was presented the EU Mercy approach to good practices for multi-sector companies, so it was more industry-oriented. For the proceedings of these 2 webinars, you can visit the site of the EU Mercy in this link, and you can, if you haven't watched it and you're interested, you can watch it again. And now this is the webinar C, which focuses on the platform, which is one of the main outputs of the project, which actually gathers all the good practices that have been valorized during the project. So we are going to talk about the valorized results of the 2-year research that we conducted during this project implementation. In this platform, which is a comprehensive database of good and best practices in the field of energy efficiency in the industrial sector through whole Europe. Furthermore, we're going to explain the selection process of these practices and how to use the platform. There's going to be a presentation focusing on the scenarios concerning the energy efficiency in the industry sector, again, as it resulting of the project, of this project focusing on this field. There will be time for questions and answers at the end of the webinar, but if you have a question in the meantime or any comment, please use the chat and identify the name of the speaker you want to pose the question to and the organization he or she comes from. Furthermore, EU Mercy Community is an open to the public project, and we have created a community of stakeholders or anyone that is interested to the project and to the results. So you are welcome to join us using the platform or the site or the email. If you are an industry or another stakeholder that wishes to be in this group. Here is the agenda. I'm Efi Mavro from CRES, and I'm doing this small introduction to the webinar. You can see more or less the context that we have discussed. And I think it's time to pass to the actual content and, of the webinar. Please, Simone, Mr. Simone Maggiore, would you like to proceed?
Yes. Okay. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
For the introduction. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Simone Maggiore from RSC. We are the coordinator of this UMERSI project, and today the goal of this webinar is to present the main output of UMERSI. So UMERSI is, as you see, some recaps from those who don't know some information about UMERSI. So it is an NH 2020 project. It was funded by the grant agreement 6935, as you can see here. So it started in February 2016. So it will end in January, 31st of January 2013. It ended in January 2008. So it's almost at the end. So we have reached some important results, in particular the AEA platform, which will be the core of this webinar and will be shown the next intervention by my colleagues. As you can see here, so how did the project was started? So what are the drivers at the bottom of UMERSI project? The first one, we have to understand how we can improve the use of energy. As you can see here, I reported some graphs. As you can see here, industry plays an important role in the total consumption of Europe. And also in the different countries, we have a strong dependence by the different fuels in the 28 European countries. Besides, there are a lot of other factors, such as the prices for electricity, which play an important role in the different European countries. You can see here, in the different European countries, we have a huge variety of different prices of electricity. So this is important, because the price of electricity is a fundamental driver which influences the consumption and of industry. So there is still a lot of things to be done to improve the energy efficiency of the industry. As you can see here, there are some goals in 2020, 2030, and the energy efficiency improvement is almost 30% of our objective. And we can reach this objective using different types of intervention. As you can see here, we have intervention with a 2-year payback time, while other intervention with a 5-year payback time, with a longer payback time. But if we combine these two approaches, we can reach the goal of energy consumption reduction. All these interventions can be easily implemented by an energy saving company, by an ESCO. And this support which is given to the stakeholders in the field is important. And also another thing UMERSI wants to understand is this. So therefore I will give more details later on this. Another rationale at the base of the project is the strong differences we can find in the European countries, because as you can see from this graph, from this map, European countries have different approach to energy efficiency. For example, there are only 16 countries in which there are relevant energy efficiency obligation schemes. Most of them, for example, Italy, France, Spain, Austria, Ireland, Romania, they have energy efficiency obligation schemes combined with alternative measures. In Italy, for example, there are also other schemes which support the energy efficiency. While in 5 countries, Denmark, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Poland, and Hungary, there are only energy efficiency obligation schemes for industry. So this is the only tool which has been chosen by the government to support energy efficiency in industry. While in 13 countries, the Nordic countries, England, Portugal, Greece, there are only alternative measures. And also between the different countries, there are very strong differences in the methodologies to calculate the saving, to monitor the saving, and to report the saving, to ask for subsidies. So there is not an harmonized approach to energy efficiency in industry. So this is another thing which the UMERSI project wants to address. In fact, as you can see here, this is an extract from the Energy Efficiency Directive. The European Commission stresses the importance to harmonize the different methods to calculate the savings, to measure, verify the savings, and to calculate additionality. What is a saving which is additional to the, let's say, the market average, something like this, which, for example, it is very common for the white certificate mechanism. But it is important because the Commission wants to incentivize only those interventions which are above market average, and not the intervention which, however, would have been implemented. So this is very important because we have to understand which is the best way and which is the most efficient way to intervene and improve the energy efficiency of the industry. So these are some questions which at the beginning of UMERSI we started to answer, and to most of them we have already found an answer. As you can see in the next presentation, we have understood what are the most effective practices that may improve the energy efficiency in industry, and we have built a portal, an energy efficiency platform, which we have reported from some sector these practices. And inside this portal, we have tried also to understand, to analyze the different technologies or the combination of the technology which can lead us to reach such an objective. We've also tried to understand what is the correlation between the different parameters, productivity, reductivity, the competitiveness, the efficiency in an intervention, because we have to analyze an intervention from different points of view. And we've also tried to do this. Also to understand the economic part of the intervention, the payback time, which is very important to evaluate. And we have made this evaluation based on different parameters, because our goal is to provide a comprehensive overview of the energy efficiency in industry. So another part which is currently under development, we want to develop some recommendation to European stakeholders. This work will be completed by the end of February and January, and will provide some guidelines, some recommendations to the different stakeholders, in particular to political stakeholders, which can help them to improve the energy efficiency support scheme to industry. So here I report a summary of the main results we have already achieved. So you can have a clear view of what we have done and what we're going to achieve until the end of the project. As we already said, the main output is the EIEP platform, which is a European Industrial Energy Efficiency Good Practice Platform. I will not go into detail here because my colleague from RSC and FIRE will make a specific intervention on this. So you will be able to understand all the things we have built in this platform. And in particular, this platform, which contains the good practices for energy efficiency in industry, contains also a database, which has raw data of energy efficiency projects, anonymized, of course, because we have to respect the privacy of the different stakeholders involved, which have been the base and then we analyze to extract the good practice which have been put in the IEP platform. We have also developed a methodology to analyze the different interventions. In particular, in this methodology, the key performance indicators we have developed have helped us to understand and to evaluate in a concrete way how the different interventions have been successful. And this has been also very helpful to compare different interventions among one another. After that, we have developed also some standardized methods which can be useful for stakeholders. For example, some baseline, some algorithms which are useful for stakeholders to understand which is the best way to approach and monitor and implement an energy efficiency intervention. This is very important. We've also made an analysis of the energy efficiency schemes in the different member states. This is an analysis from a general point of view, from let's say a political point of view, to understand which obligation schemes, which support schemes are the most effective to support the energy efficiency industry. We have done this in different countries, and the results are available also on the platform. We've also asked different stakeholders, so you can also find on the platform some interviews, some results which have been given directly by the stakeholders involved, so we can have their opinion, because they're people that work on the field, so their opinion is very important. As I said before, we are also developing, by the end of December, beginning of January, some recommendations, because these recommendations will be useful, will be sent to different stakeholders in order to improve the energy efficiency mechanism in Europe, in general, in the different countries. Because there are some aspects which are very good, which should be improved and strengthened in order to make them more successful. But we have also found something which should be changed and modified in order to increase the success of the energy efficiency mechanism. Therefore, this webinar is also a way in which we are trying to disseminate and all that we have done. And in particular, a great part of this, let's say, dissemination has been done by each partner of UMERSI, because each partner of UMERSI has done good work to disseminate all our results in their countries, and also tailoring these results to the specific needs of their countries. We try to build the capacity of the different stakeholders using the results of UMERSI. So these are three main steps which summarize in a slide all our results. We have made a theoretical analysis on the policy and the schemes which are already in place. We have selected the good practice and created the platform. And after this, Webinar C is one of the different activities we are performing to build the capacity of the different stakeholders in Europe. So these are under the partner. We are very well spread in Europe. So our goal is to reach as many countries as possible. So I also invite you to collaborate with us. You can find the details in our presentation. So both to industries, both to any stakeholder which is involved in the industry and wants to collaborate with us, want to share your experience, please contact us. We have a lot of material to offer, and I'm sure you can exchange, you can make a lot of good things to improve energy efficiency in industry. So thank you very much. Now I'll give you the floor to the next speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you see the screen? I think so. Oh, no. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anna Realini.
Okay, I'm sorry, there are some technical issues and we are trying to solve the problems. Please be patient and thank you for your patience.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paweł Śnitko, and I will go with my presentation now because there are some technical issues with the tool of the webinar. Okay, so let's start. As I've already said, my name is Paweł Śnitko. I work with KAPE. I'm a specialist at KAPE. We've been dealing with energy efficiency for over 20 years in Poland. And for the project reasons, we are the Work Package 5 leaders. And the presentation I will give you now is about the main results of Work Package 5, so the scenarios of effective energy efficiency improvement in the industry sector. Okay, so first of all, what are the scenarios? The scenarios will present how selected schemes and their features may affect chosen industry sectors in general and in particular, and how can schemes can be how can the schemes be replicated to other countries, and all the local and national conditions are taken into account during the preparing of the scenarios. The scenarios will be useful mainly for the policymakers, as they provide a lot of knowledge on how specific features of the scheme influence the results in different industry sectors based on their taking into account their in their local conditions. The idea of scenarios is also to share knowledge about the barriers for energy efficiency and how to overcome them, and of course share knowledge of successful ways of fostering energy efficiency in the industry. When making the scenarios, when doing the scenarios, we have taken into account three main things to prepare the scenarios based on them. The first thing is the historical data of the energy efficiency obligation schemes or alternative measures in each country in the four enabler countries. So Poland, Italy, Austria, and Great Britain. We've also taken into account the national and local conditions occurring in the countries. So some past events, the general state of economy, and similar things. And of course, we've had to include the general features of the industry sector. So process complexity, market structure of the sector, and different indicators like this. So what did we actually do? We took five industry sectors. The industry sectors we have chosen for the task are among the most energy intensive in the analyzed countries, and as you can clearly notice, they differ significantly from each other, mostly in both in market structure and, of course, in product diversity, fuel usage, etc. So we can have a lot of conclusions based on the analysis. We have analyzed for these sectors. We have analyzed five energy efficiency support schemes occurring in the four enabler countries. So from Austria, we have the KPC financial subsidy program, which is run by a specific company called the KPC. The company is a separate body from the Ministry of Energy in Austria, and the company runs the program. What's interesting about the program is the fact that its goals are adjusted on a year-to-year basis. So each year the goals and the way of fulfilling them is different. Also, it is important to say that the main focus of the KPC program is put on the environment protection, not on energy efficiency directly. And the other program coming from Austria is the Klimaaktiv training program, which is based on providing trainings and information to the companies. We have also taken two white certificate based schemes into the analysis, one in Italy and one in Poland. Despite the fact that they are both white certificate based, there are some significant differences from one to another. Like, for example, there is no additionality principle in the Polish white certificate scheme. And we've also taken the energy efficiency supporting program from UK called Energy Efficiency Advice Program, which is run by the company Carbon Trust from UK. And the scheme is based on providing free or subsidized energy audits to the companies which requested. Also, the company provides support to the companies, even with applying to different other schemes in the country. Now let's have a quick talk about the methodology. First of all, as you have surely noticed, the years of operation of the schemes significantly differ. Some white certificates in Italy, for example, operate much longer than in Poland. That's why we had to set a common time frame for all the schemes to compare it, to have an even ground when comparing the schemes. We have decided that it should be the first 5 years of the start of operation of the scheme, so that because the first 5 years are the period when the scheme is set up and adjusted. The methodology we used to create the scenarios is consists of 2 parts. One is the quantitative analysis, which is based on the 5 KPIs referring to energy and economic indicators, and they have been combined using weighting mechanism in one KPI general, which can achieve values from 0 to 1, where 1 is the best and 0 is the worst. We've also, as the quantitative analysis gives only a number which says how good a scheme performs in an industry sector in a selected country, we have to back it up with a qualitative analysis where we investigated how and why did the scheme achieve the result it achieved in the KPI analysis. On the slide, you can see the results of the quantitative analysis. So the KPI general numbers for all the schemes in all the sectors we have analyzed. First thing you can notice is that not all the numbers are given. This happened because some of the schemes achieved significantly higher KPI values than all the others, and keeping them inside the analysis would disrupt the KPI results. So we have not assigned them a KPI value, but we analyze them separately as case studies. The second thing you can notice, and it's also very interesting, is the fact that when it comes to the energy efficiency schemes, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. For example, you can see that the KPC scheme works good in the pulp and paper and food and beverage sector, while it does not perform so well in the chemical and iron and steel sectors. This is true also for all the other schemes. Okay, so now let's talk about the qualitative part of the analysis. So conclusions and lessons learned from each of the sectors analyzed. Okay, so we've found out that the food and beverage sector, as you have further noticed, responds well to many supporting schemes, as the KPI values achieved by it are high, significant, are high. The sector also shows potential for energy savings from common replicable technologies like heat recoveries, refrigeration systems, drives improvements, CHP, etc. Most of the interventions are related to these kind of technologies. Only 11% of investments have been made in strictly process-related technologies. The sector also, due to its high dispersion, so a large share of the market being assigned to small and medium enterprises in all of the analyzed countries, has high potential for energy savings in small and medium enterprises. So basically, to create a scheme which works good in the food and beverage sector, you have to keep in mind the simplicity of the scheme, as a lot of small and medium enterprises do not have staff assigned to the task of working inside the scheme. It has also been found out that training and knowledge sharing schemes efficiently support common technologies, and that's why they also efficiently work inside the sector and achieve good results. As furthermore, due to the nature of the industry, food and beverage industry sector, high potential for biofuels and other waste-derived fuels has been noticed, and the potential can be utilized with the help of schemes that focus more on environment, environment. So, for example, a good example of such a scheme is the KPC scheme in Austria. When it comes to the pulp and paper sector, which is similar in a way to the food and beverage sector, as it responds to many supporting schemes, the pulp and paper sector, however, has different market structure in each country. Like, for example, for food and beverage sector, we were able to say that there is a large share of small and medium enterprises. We can't say the same for pulp and paper sector. The shares significantly differ in all the other countries. The pulp and paper sector consists of two NASCO branches. One is manufacture of pulp and paperboard, and the other is manufacture of articles of paper and paperboard. And the 17.1 branch, which is manufacture of pulp and paper and paperboard, is very highly energy intensive and a lot of much more energy savings in production process related technologies have been filed inside the 17.1 branch. However, on the other hand, much more energy savings have been assigned to technologies in the other branch. What's interesting about the sector is that it has one of the lowest energy efficiency implementation costs of the measures. The sector usually, during the analysis for the sector, we have found out that the potential inside a branch or inside industry usually it follows the market structure, so it is also reflected by the market structure. So the more production value is assigned to the branch, the more energy efficiency potential can be suspected there. We have also found out that training and knowledge sharing schemes could utilize the energy efficiency potential in common measures efficiently. That was also found out during the food and beverage during food and beverage industry analysis. What's interesting is that training and knowledge sharing schemes work better for the 17.2 branch, while energy efficiency obligation schemes, which tend to target the energy savings related to production processes, work better in the 17.1 branch, which is more energy intensive. Now let's talk about the chemical sector. In the chemical sector, as you may have noticed, received significantly worse KPI general values from the other sectors. The sector market structure is usually pivoted towards large or medium enterprises. Sometimes medium enterprises dominate, like in Austria, but very often large enterprises dominate the market, with a large share, of course, of medium enterprises. The nature of the chemical sector is that there is a lot of products made by the sector. The products significantly differ from each other, and so that also different and various chemical processes are necessary to chemical production processes are necessary to be carried out. So there, you could say that in the sector in general, there is high complexity of the production processes and also large variety of production processes. There were many common measures implemented in the sector. However, despite only 18% of measures were strictly process related, the process related measures accounted for 59%, so majority of energy savings achieved in the sector. And if there is high complexity and variety of production processes and products, the cost of implementation of different energy efficiency measures was high for the sector. It was one of the highest in the EU MERSI analysis. And in general, for the energy efficiency policy to work for chemical sector, the policy should focus on medium and large companies, as there is the highest energy potential. And a good example of policy that worked good for the sector is the white certificate scheme in Poland. When it comes to coke and petroleum sector, the sector was found to be very, very hard to stimulate with all of the schemes. The sector achieved the worst results in the analysis. In general, the sector is dominated by a small number of very large enterprises, and despite the number of enterprises sometimes being so small, like for example 5 enterprises in the whole country, the sector still accounts for a large amount of energy consumption in each country. And what's interesting and unique about the sector is that it consumes fuels which come from its own production. So it's kind of a unique feature for the sector. And in general, none of the schemes worked really efficiently in the sector. As you can see on the slide, the knowledge sharing schemes and training programs did not work. Achieved really small energy savings in the sector. Higher savings were achieved by energy efficiency obligation schemes. We suspect that the best way to stimulate the sector is to provide direct support to the companies operating inside it. Let's go now to the iron and steel sector. In general, the sector was hard to stimulate by most schemes. In Poland, in some countries, the sector went through a technical transformation connected with digitalization of production processes in the 2008 and 2009 years. And of course, this fact significantly influenced the results. For example, you can see that the KPIs, the KPI general achieved by the Polish white certificate mechanism was significantly lower than the Italian white certificate mechanism, and Polish white certificate mechanism was implemented sometime after the transformation process of the industry. The sector in general is dominated by large enterprises, which account for more than 90% of production value in each of the analyzed countries. That's why the energy efficiency potential is suspected mostly in large companies. And a lot of this energy saving potential is suspected in main production processes carried out in the industry. However, the best modernizations also have high implementation costs in the sector. The energy efficiency obligation schemes, such as white certificates, achieve good results in this sector and utilize huge potential in process technologies found in the sector very well. It was found out during the analysis that in the iron and steel sector, there is very limited potential for renewable energy sources. In the whole EU-MERSI database, there is only one measure connected with renewable energy sources in the sector, which is connected with installing 5 megawatt wind turbines next to the plant. So we can see that the sector does not show high potential for renewable energy sources. The energy savings supported by the scheme for a lot of cases were influenced by the past events. So, for example, as I said before, in the Polish case, the technical transformation influenced the KPI values, and it also we also suspect that in general the energy efficiency obligation schemes or supporting measures can be a good tool to support the transformation processes of the sector, so that the companies can invest in the new technologies quicker, having some support from the country. The largest, what's also a bit unique about and interesting about this sector is that the energy efficiency measures require the production processes to be stopped for the time of implementation. So, for example, when you want to improve a production process in the sector, you have to stop the production. This also raises the costs of the implementation of the measure, which is not usually not included by the direct calculation of investment costs, and this is a barrier for the sector. One of the barriers for the sector to invest in energy efficiency. Okay, so now let's sum up and let's find out some general conclusions about the sector, about the energy efficiency obligation scheme. So in general, the main goals of the scheme and the ways of achieving the goals should be revised often, so that they are in line and they all follow the current condition and needs of the industry sector or in the country in which they operate. In general, we have also been able to find out that the knowledge sharing schemes and programs that in the audits are very successful with supporting the generic measures and can utilize the potential inside them in a very quick time. In the opposite, the energy efficiency obligation schemes like white certificate scheme often target more energy intensive, more process related measures and provide a more long-term, more steady energy saving trends. We also stress that to allow for conscious scheme adjustment and notification, the data collection is necessary. The data should be collected, gathered, stored, and made available when necessary to provide an analysis such as we have provided. What's interesting, we also found out that in general, the white certificate schemes may take a bit of time to adjust to the environment in which they operate. We have found out, for example, the time to be, in the Italian case, 5 years. And that's all I've had to show you. Thank you for your attention. You've got some of my company contacts below. If you've got any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry for the issue earlier. There was a network issue. So let's restart from where we left. My name is Anna Realini. I work for RSE, that is an Italian energy and electric market research company owned by the Italian state. And this presentation will be shared with my colleague Livio De Chicchis from FIRE. Our presentation will focus on the biggest outcome of this project, that is the European Industrial Energy Efficiency Good Practices Platform, that is accessible through the web to everybody. So the contents of the presentation will be an introduction about the platform structure, a brief summary about the analyzed sectors and the process of data collection, and then a presentation of the three main sections of the platform, that are the database, the library, and the surveys, with all their sub-sectors. The portal is structured in three sections, as we have said: the database, the library, and the surveys, and is accessible in two ways. First of all, through its direct address, that is umersiportal.eu, and secondarily through the umersi general website. From the direct link, we open directly the platform. Through the umersi general website, on the home page, we just have to go to European Industrial Energy Efficiency Good Practices Platform, click on Read More, and then we can go to the platform by clicking here. Then, as we have said, these three sections have their own features. First of all, the database that contains raw information on the energy efficiency measures analyzed in umersi project. Then the library that contains the best practices from literature and the good practices identified in umersi project and some other documents. And then the umersi surveys that contains the results of some surveys that we conducted at the beginning of the project with different stakeholders in order to understand what were the needs of the industry in the European Union. Which are the analyzed sectors that we can find in the library and the database? First of all, we had to make a selection. So in order to do it, we had to define some parameters to consider for each sector and to use a ranking of the sectors. So we gave to each sector a score based on different energy and economic parameters, such as the final energy consumption, the energy cost per added value unit, the number of employed persons, the gross added value, the economic energy efficiency potential, that was for interventions that were available with a payback time less than 5 years, and the technical energy efficiency potential. At the end, we came up with a selection of the sectors that now are not in the ranking position, but just in alphabetic position by NACE code, that are food and beverage, pulp and paper, coke and petroleum, chemical products, non-metallic minerals that we further split in glass and ceramics and cement, metallurgy split in iron and steel and other metals, and machinery that collects several sectors that concur to the machinery industry. The data, then we had to collect the data for our database. So we have 4 partners called enablers that have access to, at different levels, to data regarding different energy efficiency measures in their countries. So we were able to collect some data from the white certificates mechanism in Italy, some data from the energy efficiency advice from Carbon Trust, some data from the white certificates mechanism in Poland, and some data from 2 programs about energy and environment in Austria. And at the end, we had 2,900 energy efficiency measures that were typical of their countries. So we had to harmonize the data in a common format in order to fill a database that could be easily readable and easily elaborated by the partners for further studies, for example, the extraction of good practices. So we decided that there were some fields that were more important than others, like, for example, the company size, the location of the plant, the year in which the energy efficiency measure was implemented, and the description of this energy efficiency measure. And we put all this data in the database that is accessible through the platform. So if we go on the database section, we can have the free navigation, in which we can see all the 2,900 records with these voices that are the size, the year, the reference scheme, whether this record belongs to a good practice or not, the country where it was implemented, the classification into a process that could be a general classification common to all sector, or a specific classification for the process of the sectors where this record belongs to, the sector, and an ID that allows to identify the record. You can also filter somehow, like if we write Poland in the country, it is possible to visualize only the Polish records, and the same for the other 4 countries. And it is possible to export data either in Excel through the green button here, or in Adobe PDF through the red button. And it's possible to export page data only, or the total records data. And these fields are available in both formats. Then we can go to the visualization and to the fields that are available for visualization, because to put for download such a big database with the 30 fields that we have used was a very big effort, and it took really a long time to download, and it was not always necessary. So we decided to allow the users to visualize a broader information about the single record. So it's possible to add some sections like the technical life of the equipment, a detailed description of the project both in local language and in English, the energy carriers that were involved in the savings, a baseline consumption and the savings specific for each energy carrier, and the performances of this measure calculated through the use of KPIs. To access this, it's easy. You just need to click on the record, or double click. Wait, it's not opening, but it should, okay. And you can just scroll down and see all these fields, like how, as I said, more detailed description, the energy carriers. In this case, we have only natural gas, but in some other cases, we can arrive up to 5 energy carriers, and the baseline consumption, the final energy savings, the total final energy savings when we have more than 1 carrier, how these savings were calculated. For example, this is an Italian example, they were metered through the white certificate mechanism, the overall cost of implementation, the energy price of the carrier that we use for calculation, and so on, to the KPIs that are indicating the energy, environmental, and economic performance of this project. Then there is another section in the database that are the queries, through which we can read and download some parts of the database that follows different criteria that are company size, implementation year, reference scheme, country, generic and specific taxonomy, so the classification by general process and by sector-specific process, whether it is a good practice, and the reference sector. For example, if we go to the database, we click on Select to open this page. Just 1 second. And then we can select different parameters, for example, medium for the company size, implementation year 2010, and Poland. Submit. And we see, for example, that in this case we have no records in the database, because we chose maybe a year where the white certificate mechanism was not active. Let's try with 2015. Submit. And we can see that there are 2 records in Poland related to medium-size enterprises. So we can have a multi-selection, and also in this case, we can download the data in PDF format. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Livido Kikis from FIRE that will present the other sections of the platform.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Anna, for the introduction. In the second part of this intervention, I will focus on the UMERCI library, which was just introduced by Anna. Well, UMERCI library is composed by four main elements, which are the country analysis, which provides an analysis of the industry in the different European Union countries. A technical analysis of the processes in the selected sectors. The process schematics with the best practice and the good practice, which is the main, probably the main element of the library, and on which we will focus mostly in this intervention. And finally, the fact sheets, which are an infographic information which provides information on the good practice and the relative processes. Okay, after we will see also these fact sheets. But start with best practice and good practice, which is a best practice and which are good one. Well, best practice is a practice that we found from literature, so from different sources, which are the BREF, BAT, Best Available Techniques Documents, or IETD, which is the acronym for Industrial Energy Technology Database, or the Energy Star. So we search in the literature, we consulted a lot of documents from literature and selected a number of best practice. So with the term best practice, we intend practice that we found in literature. Differently, good practice are those practices which are extracted from the UMERCI database. A good practice satisfy this criteria. So are measures or intervention that are energy efficient, are technical feasible, and economic sustainable. Are these three fundamental characteristics. How they have been chosen, how we choose this good practice, substantially from three steps. A statistical analysis of the UMERCI database, basing on technical experience of some experts involved, and studying the KPIs, the key performance indicators of the single records of the database. In this table in the left, you can see all the sector involved, which was described before, and for each sector, the source through which we extracted the good practice. For every sector, there are one or more than one sources. This is a schematic, so of the good practice selection process. We started from the world database, which was composed by almost 3,000 records. And first, we made a statistical analysis. Statistical analysis, and then a KPI ranking. For every record, we attributed a key performance indicator, and then we rank these measures according to the KPIs that we assign them. At the end, we involved some expertise that gave their suggestion and their opinion about every record and every KPIs assigned. At the end of this process, we had 157 good practice selected. This table resumes for all the sector the number of best practice collected. You can see the total is 613 best practice from literature. The total number of good practice selected, as I told before, they are 157. And in the last column are reported the good practice which fit exactly with a best practice. This happens in 36 cases. This is a very practical, very operational tool, and it's the main part of the library. So I would like to quickly surf the website just to show you how it works. So if we go on the uMercy homepage, clicking of this bottom AAP, we can go on the library. uMercy library, clicking here. Here you can see all the various sectors involved. For example, go on glass sectors. Okay. Here is the process, and this is called the schematics. This is the schematics of the processes. In every box there is the phase, the process of the glass industry. And under this box, there are a lot of measures. How we can distinguish a best practice from a good practice is simple. We can do it because every good practice has the uMercy logo. Here you can see. So all the measures which has this uMercy logo are good practice. They are extracted from uMercy database. The other, which has no logo, are best practice from literature. What I have told is also reported in this legend. So when you enter the library, you can see this legend and understand this difference. So, for example, go on. If you click on the best practice, it opens up PDF files. This is a best practice. You can read here from literature. And this is the structure. So there is the title of the measure, the sector, the process, and the sub-process. It's more specific, the sub-process. And more specific, the system technology. Then there is a general description of the measure. Where available, there is a sketch, a picture taken from literature, and a description more in detail of the technology, but also always a general description. Then the last box reports some consideration about estimated savings and benefits, replicability, and recommendations. So this is the most detailed box for a best practice. There are also some numbers, some data, and some idea of the savings obtainable by a measure. Finally, there is the reference list, which reports the sources from which we have obtained the information. This was a best practice, but now let's go to see a good practice. So if we click on the measure which has this uMercy logo, this is a good practice. You can see here. And the beginning of the PDF is almost similar to the best practice. There are the same information, but there is also a sketch here, a picture of the technology. The last part are more rich than a best practice, because these interventions was taken from the database. So we had more information, a lot of information also about the savings and the precise information. From literature, we had an indication, a range. In this case, we have precise information about savings. You can see here. So a minimum value, a maximum value, and an average value. Informations about baseline for the to calculate the savings. So information about the baseline used, and information about instrument to monitoring and measure the savings, and other key performance indicator. For example, energy consumption improvement, energy intensity, cash flow, so also economics information, and information about cost, you can see here. And again, information about cost of implementation, so the investment necessary to install this measure. And finally, the recurrence both in the merged data list and in different countries, and information about exportability of this measure also in other sectors. So the good practice are more, as you could see, is more detailed and more precise compared to a best practice, but they are less. The good practice are less than best practice. In this box, finally, we have cross-cutting technologies. What are good cross-cutting technologies? Are measures that are transversal, are horizontal measures that can be applicable to all the process of a determined sector. Some examples: compressed air, electric motors, cogeneration, and other. Also, in this case, there are best practice and good practice, similar to other practices. So, if you have some answer or question, doubts about this platform, please write it in the chat. I will be happy to replace you. Also, in the next days, if you go on the platform and you have comments or feedbacks, please contact us, because we are interested in your comments. So this was the library. Now let's come back to our presentation to speak about the other element of uMersi portal that we told at the beginning of the presentation. There is in the website a technical analysis of the main processes in the sectors selected, which provides information about energy consumption of the different phases of the process. Then the country analysis. Country analysis informations divided by country, so geographic information about the industry, the level of the industry in the different European countries. And this contains economic results for the selected sectors, so basing on the selected sectors used in this project. The fact sheets. Fact sheet is a section still under construction. So if you now go in this section, you can see also the fact sheets you can see only the fact sheets for food and beverage sector. What are these fact sheets? Are an infographic instrument that summarize for the selected sectors a general statistics for the sector, a presentation of the best good practice, and some recommendations and policies. All the documents are downloadable in PDF format. Finally, there is a section about the surveys, which contains the result of three surveys conducted from various stakeholders. we speak about company, ESCOs, and sector association. But again, let's go on the website and I'll show you also this part. Come back to the home page here. Here it is. So this is the part of surveys. If you go on surveys, there are the results of the 3 surveys conducted about association. These are the results. So if you are interested in a determined questions, you can see and you can go in this part and see it. Companies and ESCOs is similar to the first one. If you go in the library, we can see the technical analysis for the various sector is a PDF documents. Also this, here it is. You can download it very simply. Library country analysis. If you click on country analysis, you can see an Europe map. Sorry. Okay. In the countries involved in UMercy project are in yellow, and if you click on it, it opens a PDF file that contains this country analysis. So many information about all the sector in the determined country. Finally, the last one, the last element that I told you is the fact sheets. As I already told, this is under construction. At the moment, you can see only the food and beverage fact sheets. Here it is. It's an infographic document, which information about the sector in general, the food and beverage sector, statistics about this sector, and information about the top good practice and some recommendations. If you go between some time, if you will come back in this section, you could see also the fact sheets for other sectors. Okay, I finish my interview, my presentation. If you have some questions, please write it in the chat now, or in the next days, in the next period, you can write to these mails. We will be happy to replace you and listen your comments and feedbacks. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you for giving me the screen. I'm Franco Nematz. I'm the manager of the okay. Can you hear me? I'm Franco Nematz. I'm representing the Energy Efficiency Agency, APE. We are active for more than 25 years in the field of energy efficiency, and we are developing also projects for renewable energy. I will present shortly, let's say, the activities we have performed recently. We have performed in recent time. In the month of October, we have performed 3 webinars for 3 different group of interested people for the food and beverage industry. for the energy managers coming from the EUREM project, and one webinar for the stakeholders from energy sector. The content of the webinars you can see here, was the scope of the generally of EUMERSI project, website of EUMERSI and the portal, good practice library for different sectors, reports of good practice implementation, technical analysis of industry sectors, country reports, Slovenian national obligation for energy efficiency in industry, the opportunities for co-financing of energy audits in Slovenia, and then, as was shown in the previous presentations, also in a live presentation of how the webinar and the portal, how the portal and the website is working, and at the end, question and discussions. As was also reported before, we have go with our attendees through the portal, and we have shown how it works, and let's say which categories of interventions are presented within the database. When we are talking about the obligation, national obligation for the Slovenia industry, there is an obligation for a big industry to perform an energy audit. This audit must be done up to the end of this year. And let's say what is important is that no special restriction or requirements for the auditors are enforced. They have just to comply with the standard, this one, SIST EN 16,247/5. There are also national obligation for energy efficiency industry. According to the Energy Act from 2014, the companies are obliged to run an energy efficiency scheme. They have to achieve energy savings among final consumers, and these schemes, or the financing of these schemes, has to be made by the companies themselves. The targets for energy savings are 0.75% per year, and for Slovenia this amounts to 262 gigawatt. The control of energy audit obligation and the energy obligation scheme is made by the Slovenian Regulatory Energy Agency. We have also some opportunities for example, for co-financing of energy audit up to 50%. This year, the ECO Fund, Slovenian Environmental Public Fund, has issued a call for this scheme, which is available for small and medium enterprises. Within the webinar, as we are specialized in renewables, I try to show the audience, let's say, one case of good and not perfect implementation or installation of PV modules. Let's say on the right side, you could see, let's say, first I have to say that the direction south-north is in this way. And in the first case, let's say the PV plant was oriented to the south, with the modules oriented to the south, with the inclination of 30 degrees, what is the optimal for the modules, but it's not the optimal for the use of roof. In the second case on the left, the implementation was made so that the modules were directly put it on the on the roof. In this case, let's say the inclination of the module was not how to say optimal, but let's say the use of the roof is much better, and also the integration of modules is better, and with a much smaller roof of this case in the left, the production of from this roof is specifically much higher than of the roof on the right side. We have organized also a webinar press conference in the month of October. We sent to all media which are reporting in the field, from the field of energy. Let's say we have sent them the information press release, and we could be satisfied in some way, not perfectly, but at least two publication we have registered in two media. One is both specialized in the energy sector. One is Nastic, and the other one is the Energetica.net. These two are, let's say, most known energy reporting institutions. So far, we hope and we think that the let's say quite an almost interested audience was informed about the project. This will be, in short, the presentation from Slovenia. Thank you very much.
So, good afternoon. My name is Vera Gennadieva, and I'm representing the Black Sea Energy Research Center, which is the Bulgarian partner in the EU Mercy project. I would like to start with some figures that will give you a basic idea of the energy aspects of the Bulgarian industrial sector. The first graph shows the dynamics of the final energy consumption of the main sectors during the period 2000 to 2016. As it can be seen, the energy consumption of industry, which is traditionally the most consuming sector, declined sharply in 2008 and 2009. It's by more than 1 million of tons of oil equivalent, by conceding the first rank to transport. Here you can see the shares of the main branches of processing industry in the final energy consumption in the year 2015. The biggest consumers among industrial branches in Bulgaria are the chemical industry and the non-metallic mineral products industry. They are followed by food and beverage and pulp and paper industries. On this table, we wanted to show the final energy consumption, energy intensity, and energy saving potential of the main industrial branches. As it can be seen, the highest energy intensity goes to chemical industry and non-metallic mineral products. After them, with little difference being pulp and paper and iron and steel industries. Wood industry gains upon food and beverage. Expectedly, the biggest savings can be achieved in the chemical industry, followed by non-ferrous metal, non-metallic mineral products, and pulp and paper industries. The main energy efficiency policy legislative instruments that concern industrial sector in Bulgaria include the Energy Efficiency Act from 2015, and a number of ordinances regulating the definition of the national target, individual targets, and verification of their attainment, energy efficiency auditing of industrial enterprises, and certification of buildings. The other important document here is the National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, covering the period 2014 to 2020, developed in line with the requirement of the Energy Efficiency Directive. And here we would like to mention the new project which is intended by the Sustainable Energy Development Agency of Bulgaria, which would aim to develop practical methodological guidelines for conducting of energy efficiency audits of industrial enterprises, training of energy managers, elaboration of sample ESCO contract to be applied by industry, and last but not least, development of an online benchmarking platform by sectors of industry. The Bulgarian energy policy is fully aligned with that of the European Union in terms of energy security, competitiveness, and sustainable development. Energy efficiency has the highest priority in it. This has served as a basis for setting ambitious energy efficiency improvement targets. So the national indicative energy efficiency target is defined as a 41% reduction of the primary energy intensity in the year 2020 compared to 2005. In accordance with the old Energy Efficiency Act, the national energy saving target was allocated in the form of individual energy saving targets to 3 groups of obligated parties, among them owners of industrial systems consuming more than 3,000 megawatt hours per year. The target, which had to be attained by the year 2016, was 839 gigawatt hours per year, and the savings achieved amounted to 650 gigawatt hours per year, which is about 77%. Activities carried out in Bulgaria for engaging of national stakeholders and disseminating of the EU Mercy outcomes. In Bulgaria, in general, there is no or scarce publicly available information about energy efficiency activities, methods, procedures, and about lessons learned in the industrial sector. Another thing is that industrial enterprises miss before all maybe reliable guidance on increasing energy efficiency, which means selection of promising measures, project implementation methodology, adequate tools, and financial instruments. So the efforts of the Black Sea Energy Research Center to engage national stakeholders and make the EU Mercy work and outcomes could be summarized in establishment of a comprehensive database of national stakeholders, comprising in its current format about 240 individuals and organizations, regular circulation of project news and outcomes, announcements, invitations to surveys, keeping close collaboration with the Sustainable Energy Development Agency, which is one of the main supporters of the project and also a member of the board of its stakeholders. Publication and distribution of press releases and announcements, presenting of EU Mercy at national events, one-to-one meetings, and organization of a national seminar. And what is forthcoming is an organization of a webinar, which we plan to make in January, just before the London conference, final conference of the project. And here just briefly about the national seminar, which was organized by our center on 24th of November in Sofia. Its aim was to present the project results and raise among the stakeholders a discussion of the topics related to the improvement of energy efficiency in industrial sector and to disseminate good practices. There were 24 participants representing mainly energy services companies and consultants, but also energy agencies, state institutions, industrial associations, and companies. Main topics of this seminar, they were divided into two. Part of them were devoted to the UMERCY project, and they covered the overview of the project and its results, application of energy efficiency obligation schemes in the EU member states, and presentation of the platform. We also invited speakers. For example, it was the executive director of the Bulgarian Sustainable Energy Development Agency, Mr. Alexiev, who talked about the energy intensity of the Bulgarian enterprises and their energy saving potential. The executive director of the Bulgarian Energy Efficiency and Renewable Sources Fund, Mr. Dimitar Dukov, who presented the possibilities for financing of energy efficiency project in industry by the fund, realized projects and results achieved so far. Another speaker was presenting the Bulgarian Federation of Industrial Energy Consumers, Mr. Kosorov, who put the focus of his presentation on the energy management in industrial enterprises. And Mr. Angel Terziev from Encon Services, who talked about energy efficiency and renewable energy measures, which were most often applied in small and medium enterprises. And he also presented some good examples from the Encon Services practice in Bulgarian small and medium enterprises. That was my short intervention. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.
Hello from me again. We're going to have a short presentation about the interest of industry in Greece concerning the energy efficiency issues as it has been recorded through this project, and especially through the webinar that took place in Greece in October. Just one small introduction concerning the way the directives, the two directives, European directives are applied to Greece. First of all, we have this law, which is this integration, which measures, it identifies the measures to improve energy efficiency in end use, energy services, and other provisions. And this law sets the framework for the establishment of ESCO market in Greece through energy performance contracts. Furthermore, there was a newer law in 2015, which actually was the integration of the directive on energy efficiency, where the scope, target definitions, and context of energy efficiency is set through setting the new targets for the national targets of energy efficiency, and the definition of the National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, the framework for the performance of energy use, energy audits, pricing, etc. In the project's time, there was a survey that had the meaning to understand the condition, the present condition of the industry in all the participated countries, about how they their actual status on energy efficiency by now, what they think it's enhance the development of energy efficiency measures, and what are the Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm continuing. In this, we did a more specific survey for Greece in order to be able to design the webinar to cover the needs of the Greek market and industry. Here we can see that the most important factors for the positive development of energy efficiency measures are about information, our advice, knowledge of the energy consumption of the industry, the knowledge of Okay, thank you. Is it okay now? Can you hear me now? Okay. So this was the output of this survey concerning the, I'm sorry about these technical issues, about the how, what is important for the positive development of energy efficiency measures, where, as we can see, it's the availability of information, of service of experts, of knowledge of the available solutions. So more or less, it's about information that is needed by the industries in order actually to go for energy efficiency measures, which again is a good thing because EU Mercy answers to these questions. Furthermore, we did some investigation about the financing, how the industries have financed their energy efficiency measures in the past. As we can see, the vast majority was by their own capitals, and the obstacles, the identified obstacles, which are like reducing the investments on the energy efficiency, is basically too long payback time. So after we took these conclusions, we designed the webinar, and the point was to include the aspects that the aspects of interest. So there was information about the ESCOs and the national support schemes, so that this would enhance the too long payback time, which is the problem for energy efficiency investments. Technical support and solutions and examples of successful projects would answer to the need for more information and knowledge about the solutions and the availabilities, plus some European project tools which help for the knowledge for their own status or for other for the good practices as it is the platform. The invitation, as I said, was sent to more than 150 stakeholders. We can see here more or less the target group, which involved from ministries and policymakers to actually industries, researchers, enterprises, ESCOs. So we try to cover all the field and the sector. Here are more specific the topics that we're presenting, focusing first on energy service companies and the contracts, energy efficiency contracts, some technology information about energy savings through steam systems, the initiatives of the Federation of Greek Food Industries, which has been a partner of the project and a great supporter and link between the food industry in Greece and the project. Here, the presentation of Life Footprint, which is the tool for calculating the CO2 footprint of the food industry, which again can be very useful for the companies in order to decide their energy efficiency measures, some basic interventions and energy saving techniques that can be applied in the industrial process, and finally the platform. We had a very big participation and reaction from the people that participated. Here we can see more or less the target, the actual participants. The vast majority was from industry, as well as of engineering and consultant companies, which again can be considered a success because they could apply this knowledge to future industries or future customers or people that are coming to them for consultancy. So it's like having a more application of this knowledge and events in the future time. Furthermore, a further analysis about the domain, the sectors of industry that have participated, and we can see that the vast majority was from food and beverage. The main questions posed and points of interest that came from the participant group was about energy efficiency contracts, about the ESCO contracts, and in general about the energy service companies. Some more information was asked about the project tools and how they can actually use it, and of course where to find the proceedings, not only for the Greek webinar, but for the other webinars, the international ones that were done under the EU Mercy project, and some more technical about the STEAM technical information about the STEAM technologies for the energy efficiency. There is also an upcoming event in January in Athens, a national workshop where more detailed and country-oriented information will be presented as the result of this project. Thank you for your time and interest. I'm sorry for the technical problems that were occurred. I'm available for any more questions or if there is a clarification needed. Thank you very much.
Greek, please, you have to turn on your microphone by yourself. From the control panel.
Okay, now you can hear me?
Okay, now it's okay. You should start. Okay, thank you very much.
Again, my name is Greek Moldoveanu. I'm from ENERO, the Center for the Promotion of Clean and Efficient Energy in Romania. I'm going to present you the results from the validation of the good practices in Romania. I will start with a brief analysis of the good practices process, a little bit about the Romanian stakeholders that were involved, and a little bit more about the validation of these good practices. Practically in Romania, there are good things and bad things in the field of energy efficiency. The good thing is that we are following the EU legislation in the field of energy efficiency. Romania has not implemented energy efficiency obligation schemes, but alternative measures like energy audits in industry are mandatory. And we have fulfilled the energy efficiency targets, but partially due to a decrease or restructure in the industrial production, which led to a decrease of the consumption on Romanian level. The companies do pay more and more attention to the energy as part of their competitiveness, and they are more and more interested in absorbing EU funds. Usually the energy efficiency investment projects don't get enough subsidies and resources. Monies that are allocated for these projects usually are being spent, and not all the projects that were supposed to be financed can be financed. And the ESCO market, the regulatory framework are not yet very well developed. In this project, from the first beginning, we were interested and had discussions with ANRE, which is the Romanian Energy Regulating Authority, in order to get them involved in this phase of dissemination. And because of our good relations from the past with them in different projects, and because they were interested in this project with the database of efficiency implemented projects, they supported us, and the result was very good in the dissemination chapter. Also, known professional bodies like the Romanian Renewable Industry Association, SUNE, the Romanian Ownership Association for the Industries, Electronics, Electrotechnics, Telecommunication, and IT, and later on in the project, the Association of Auditors and Energy Managers from Romania. We managed to develop a large database with stakeholders interested in the industry energy efficiency, to whom we addressed information and the results of the project. On the right side, you see our letter with ANRE, with the regulating committee, in which we decided to collaborate. And on the left side, their dissemination for projects on their website, which led to a very big, very many people found about it, and we were happy to see that more people that we could join, we could host, came to our meetings. We had a little bit more than 500 addresses to which we made the dissemination and sent the newsletters. Mainly energy managers and energy auditors, but also governmental and local agencies, industry associations, and 5% ESCO companies. 2 webinars. We had webinars with more than 50 participants, a national workshop in collaboration with the authorities. We had 60 participants. We were very happy about it. And the newsletter that we were sending to more than 500 addresses practically reaches the entire Romanian industry platforms. The project raised very good, was very welcomed in Romania, because we saw that we had a good response rate on questionnaires, which is not easy to do. People are not very happy to answer questionnaires, but because they were interested in this project, we had a very good response rate. And we had 2 papers published in the Energy magazine, a very well-known magazine issued by the Romanian National Committee from the World Energy Council and distributed to 900 readers. You can see one of the papers on the right. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you have my email, the emails from the website. Please contact me. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon again, everybody. So we can start the question and answer section. The question and answer section. I think we have received already some questions, right, Valentina? And so we can start answering them.
Yes, there is
the first question.
One,
okay.
Yeah.
There are, sorry, Valentina.
Yeah, I can send it to the speaker and to the expert.
Okay.
Now, if you want, I think that you can answer.
Okay, the question is, are you planning to include other sectors in the portal? Okay, we have selected the sectors with the criteria that we have shown earlier. At the moment, we are not planning to include any other sectors. We have focused on manufacturing industry, not on other kind of industries, because we had mostly data about them. and we have decided to focus only on the interventions and the measures that were in the actual process and not the measures that were related to the building where the industry lies. So at the moment, we are not planning to include any sectors. First of all, because we selected them with a very precise methodology. Secondarily, because we have less data about other sectors. And the third issue is related to the fact that the project is finishing in less than 2 months. So we don't have the possibility to add any other sector. Okay, is there any question? Any other question? Okay, could you explain again the difference between good and best practice? Okay, the good practice, as my colleague Livio has shown, has a big difference versus the best practice, because the best practice is something that is written in literature, and we all know that very often literature lacks the approach with reality. So it's useful to understand what theoretically might be done, but when it comes to the real applicability of a measure, or the technical feasibility or the economic feasibility of a measure, it lacks some concreteness. The good practice, however, is something that in our project is taken exactly from a real case that has been implemented in one or more of the 4 countries that are considered, and has been moreover incentivized. So there has been an evaluation in the middle performed by expert bodies that has deemed this project valuable and has promoted it as incentivizable, and so as possible. So it has recognized the added value of the project. Is there anything else? Maybe also for some other speakers? I see no other questions. Okay, so from RSC, that is the organization that is coordinating the project. From FIRE, that is the organization that is responsible for all the promotion and the communication of the project and is hosting us on their platform. And from all the partners that have spoken, we thank all the participants that have followed us to the end of the webinar. It has been very, very long, and we hope to see you soon. We will have a final conference in London at the end of January, on the 23rd. You can find it on our website, and you can subscribe to our newsletter and see all the old newsletters on the UMRC website. And for anything, there are all the contacts, so you can send us email, call us for any question or any collaboration proposal. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend and have nice holidays. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye from Fire as well.
Bye.
This one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Valentina. I see you, but you don't see me.